My husband convinced himself that supporting his own wife was for suckers, and he insisted we split everything. Can you imagine sitting at your own dinner table, and your husband, the man you built a life with, hands you a spreadsheet, then asks you to pay him back for your own wedding? That's right. He literally tried to invoice me for the cost of our marriage. And that's when I realized everything I thought I knew about my relationship was a lie. The spreadsheet on the table looked harmless at first. Just rows and columns and little colored boxes, like the budgets I used to make in my old marketing life. But the way my husband was watching me read it made my stomach tighten before I even got to the bottom. He had his elbows planted on the edge of the table, fingers laced, jaw tight. That look meant he'd already rehearsed this whole thing in his head, and nothing I said was going to matter. For a second, I actually thought he was about to tell me he'd lost his job or secretly maxed out some credit card. Instead, he cleared his throat like we were in a meeting and told me he'd been thinking a lot about partnership and fairness and how things needed to change. That's never what you want to hear when you're still holding a fork and there's casserole on your plate. I followed the neat little labels down the sheet: housing, utilities, groceries, insurance, all split into 2 columns, marked with his name and mine. And then his voice kind of faded into background noise until I saw a line I'd somehow skipped the first time my eyes ran over the page. There was a section called Past Expenses. And under that, one fat line that said Wedding Costs. Next to it was a number so big that for a second, I honestly thought it was a joke. I looked up at him. He smiled this stiff, almost proud smile and said he'd done the math and figured out what a fair retroactive split would look like now that we were moving into a more equal phase. And that was the moment something in my chest went completely numb. My own husband was asking me to pay him back for our wedding. I didn't scream, which honestly shocked me as much as anything, because my first instinct was to flip that spreadsheet into his